We're all familiar with things that go bump in the night, but here's one such story with a strange little twist. Charlton House in Greenwich has been the site of a number of overnight vigils, but today we speak to two investigators who've witnessed paranormal experiences and poltergeist activity firsthand.
As far as I'm concerned, it was a paranormal event. I don't think there's any question about that whatsoever. If anybody can come up with another explanation, I'm quite willing to hear it.
It was nothing like that ever happened on the vigils that I'd been on before. So it was very, very strange.
Morris was asked along on this particular vigil by a BBC television crew, which recorded the night's events.
I was sitting in front of the fireplace, and in front of me was the cameraman, producer. He was sitting there about 3 foot away from me with his camera, and he had a light on me as well, shining a torch on me. And after a while, I began to doze off. It was getting near midnight, and I started to doze off. And as I dozed off, I heard outside a police car going, and then it stopped. And a thought just ran through my head. It's funny, I wonder why it didn't go any more than twice. And as I thought that, there was a tremendous explosion in the ceiling. Tremendous explosion. I thought somebody thrown a bomb at the moment. Of course, there was panic. The cameraman leapt up into the air. I don't know whether the camera went flying or not, but from the pictures we took, it looked as if it did. And Les Herbert, who was with us, he was at the other side of the room, also jumped up.
I was actually down the far end of the gallery, and I could hear a noise coming from the far end, which I was trying to sort of keep an ear out for, which later turned out to be pigeons. But just after the police car noise, the explosion went off, and obviously my heart sort of jumped out of my shirt. To be honest, I didn't expect anything to happen at all. I've been here quite a few times, and nothing's happened at all. And the night was started off and sort of going along the lines of we were going to get nothing happening again. So I was quite surprised when something did happen.
We looked around. First of all, we didn't see anything. But behind the producer's chair, it was about a couple of feet behind it, was a broken cup. And it had broken into, I believe, 7 pieces. And they were more or less in a circle. And I thought to myself, well, how could a broken cup make that noise? And then we began to think about it. First of all, how did the cup get there? Nobody was in this room who could have thrown it, except Les, and Les certainly didn't throw it.
One of the things we did do, before we even started the vigil, we checked the whole room out to make sure that there was no open windows and whatever, and no cups about or whatever. The woman, after it happened, we did check with the lady downstairs to verify whether the cup had come from Charlton House or not, and she said it wasn't in keeping with the cups that she uses downstairs in the tea bar.
But that was not the only mysterious thing about the whole incident. The manner of the breakage was also unusual.
But the interesting thing is that the broken parts sort of formed this circle. Now, if a cup had been thrown where Les was, it would have been thrown right up into the air, and the trajectory, when it hit the floor, would have caused it to spread outwards. Like that, a broken cup would do that. But it wasn't. It's almost as if somebody had placed it there.
When we saw that the cup was in a circle, I would say about 18 inches, and there didn't seem to be any splinters to the cup. It seemed to be broken quite cleanly into 7 pieces. There were no splinters shut off, or it was all in a tight, compact circle.
Eventually, we did some experiments, and we got a similar type of cup, and we kept on throwing this cup to see whether we could make it break. It wouldn't break. Eventually, the only way we could get it to break was somebody to stand on a chair and literally throw it down hard onto the ground. And it splintered into 1,000 pieces and went right up the gallery here.
We decided to get a physicist's opinion on the nature of the breakage to see if there was a straightforward scientific explanation.
We don't actually know where the cup comes from. And I presume for the moment the cup was in the building. It is possible, conceivably, that the foundations of this particular building are quite shallow and on clayey ground. and that forms quite an elastic mass. And so if a small vibration were around, say from traffic or from a passing train or from a gust of wind, then the building could have shaken just ever so slightly. And in that case, the cup could have fallen from somewhere high up, hit the floor, and then that would have been the result of the fall.
There's no question about it coming from the ceiling, because you can see this is a magnificent ceiling here. There's no trapdoors or anything like that. It seemed to be teleported into the room, which is a fairly common activity in poltergeist-type cases.
The problem with science, I think, is that it's always studying reproducible events. And paranormal events, or one-off events, are by definition not reproducible, and so they're very, very hard to study. And so there's a whole world out there of one-off events to which we cannot make any prediction, or we cannot really say anything sensible. But they may still happen, and we don't want to dismiss them.
There's no definite scientific theory about how this can happen. But what we imagine happens is something like you see in Star Trek, perhaps. The thing dematerializing and materializing in another place. Now, it might sound crazy to you, fiction, but it seems to be the only explanation that we can physically give it, if that can be called a physical explanation. But of course, when you're talking about psychic phenomena, there isn't much relation with psychic phenomena with physical phenomena. You know, they live in these two things, these two experiences live in different spheres, different dimensions, perhaps. Poltergeist activity is mainly what we call psychokinetic activity. That is, a physical activity that has no explanation in normal physical terms. But it happens. It appears that some people are able to influence their physical surroundings by means other than normal means. In other words, perhaps telepathically.
As far as I'm concerned, something unusual definitely happened in the room that night. I'm quite satisfied that I didn't do anything, the cameraman didn't do anything, and Morris didn't do anything. What it actually did happen, I've got no answer to that at all.
I've been through it 100 times, I suppose now, the whole evening through my mind, and I cannot think of a logical explanation other than we're all cheating, we're all having you on, which we're not.
I would say something paranormal happened in the room that night.